I wanted to talk to you about the green energy policy, and I understand that you're in favour of renewables. What I don't quite understand is your attitude towards nuclear power, because nuclear power surely provides jobs in the northwest and is a low carbon energy source. Why on earth can't you support it and see it as part of the solution?
I think the first thing about nuclear is this idea that it's a low-carbon power source. I mean, one thing that doesn't often get talked about is that actually the production of the fuel for the nuclear industry, which of course doesn't take place in this country, actually is an incredibly carbon, energy-intensive process which takes place out of sight on the other side of the world. So in fact, yes, it may appear to be a low-carbon fuel from our point of view here, but all we're really doing is exporting that CO2 production to other countries.
Okay, well, let's turn to renewables. At the moment, renewables only supply quite a small proportion of the energy needs of our country. How on earth can you believe that it's going to allow this country to flourish as it needs to flourish?
Well, I mean, obviously, we haven't yet seen, I would suggest, really serious investment in renewable energy. Yes, we've seen an increase in the production of, building of some wind turbines. But I think if you look at the constituency that I'm standing in, Morecambe and Lonsdale, it is an area with huge renewable potential in terms of tidal power, in terms of wave power. Added to that, we have a history of marine engineering, which presently is being used to produce arms, but in which could be, with the right investment, turn this area into a centre for the development and production of renewable energy. So in fact, we are living in one of the richest parts of the world in terms of renewable resources. What it requires is the imagination and the investment to take us much further. Now, obviously, we're not suggesting that you can one day switch off all the present power stations and suddenly we switch over to renewables. It has to be phased. We have to clean up the power stations we have while we still require them, but always with the intention of reducing at a sufficient rate our use of fossil fuels, combined with the investment that actually is going to take renewables to the level that we require them to be at.
But there's a key problem with renewables, which is that they're intermittent. The wind doesn't blow all the time, the sun doesn't shine all the time, and rivers go up and down. So surely we can't ever be totally reliant on renewable energy sources.
No, I don't think that's the case, because I mean there's some very large scale work being done in Germany at the moment, for instance, where what they are doing is building integrated systems of wind power, biomass and solar power over a large enough geographic scale that actually, when the wind is not blowing up in the north, the sun is shining in the south, when neither of those are happening, you rely on the biomass which are on standby. And it's that kind of scale of ambition that we need, and which has been sadly lacking in the government's approach to renewables to this up till now. So I think the problem is seen by looking at where we're at now, whereas in fact there is very much greater potential to solve that problem of balancing load and providing base load that of course industry requires.
But there are other problems with renewables, in that many people, particularly in this area, which has a lot of areas of outstanding natural beauty, don't like wind farms. They're eyesores. There's been some research that shows in your constituency 65% of people don't want more wind farms. How can you justify it? I thought you were a party that believed in local democracy and listening to the people. How can you pursue that policy of wind farms when your constituents don't want them?
Well, there's a number of things there. My experience is not, I don't know what the source of your research is, but it's definitely not my experience at that level of opposition to wind farms. In fact, there are many people who are positive about it and see, many people don't actually see them as eyesores, and many people do understand the necessity of them. And I think one of the key things, and I found in conversations with people, when you point this out, sometimes it moves people on in the argument, is that at the moment we need a large amount of wind energy. It may be that in the future that is no longer required, we have other ways of doing it. However, when the job of a wind turbine is done, it will be taken down and that area will return to its natural state in a relatively short time, just a few years. Compare that to a nuclear power station where we don't even know how to successfully decommission a nuclear power station yet. We have no idea really how long it's going to take, and we know that the fuel is going to still be a threat and a problem to deal with for potentially 50, 100,000 years in some cases. So I think the important thing is to realise that how we compare these two options and the advantages of the wind power in that case.
Thank you very much, Mike.